On Christmas Day 2009, 289 passengers and crew members on Northwest Airlines Flight 253 had no idea they were moments away from death. As the plane descended toward Detroit, a young Nigerian man sat quietly in his seat and covered with a blanket. What happened next would expose a chilling terrorism plot that had been months in the making, and also reveal how multiple intelligence agencies had failed to stop a bomber who was hiding explosives in the most unusual place imaginable. This is the shocking story of Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab, a young Nigerian man from a wealthy family whose deadly actions would earn him the nickname the Underwear Bomber. On December 25, 2009, Umar Farouk boarded his flight in Amsterdam after traveling from Ghana. He bought his ticket with cash in Ghana just 9 days earlier on December 16. He carried a valid Nigerian passport and a legitimate United States tourist visa. Nothing about him raised immediate red flags at the airport, and he was allowed to board the flight going to Detroit, USA without any issues. As the plane began approaching Detroit Metropolitan Airport, Umar Farouk made his move. He got up from his seat and walked to the toilet, where he stayed for about 20 minutes. What he did during those minutes in that small bathroom would soon become terrifyingly clear. When Umar Farouk returned to his seat, he covered himself with a blanket. The passengers sitting nearby began to notice that something was wrong. They heard some popping sounds coming from his direction, followed by a foul smell that spread through the cabin. Then someone saw flames. Fire was burning on Umar Farouk's trouser leg and even spreading to the wall of the aircraft. Panic could have erupted, but one passenger acted quickly. A Dutch film director who was present in the aircraft rushed toward Umar Farouk and held him down. Flight attendants grabbed fire extinguishers and worked to put out the flames. Other passengers helped restrain the would-be bomber as the plane continued to descend. Umar Farouk was dragged toward the front of the aircraft cabin. There, he made a chilling confession to a flight attendant. He told her that he had an explosive device in his pocket. When authorities later examined what he had been carrying, they discovered a 6-inch packet containing a powerful explosive powder. But the bomb was not in his pocket, it had been sewn into his underwear. The plane landed safely at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. Officers from the United States Customs and Border Protection immediately arrested Umar Farouk. He was then turned over to the FBI for further investigation. During questioning, Umar Farouk made a shocking admission. He told authorities that he had been directed by the popular terrorist organization called Al-Qaeda and that he had obtained the explosive device in Yemen. Within days, Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attack. They described it as a revenge for America's involvement in a military operation against Al-Qaeda in Yemen. The entire world then knew that this was not the act of a lone disturbed individual, but a carefully planned terrorist operation. To understand how Umar Farouk ended up on that plane with a bomb in his underwear, we must go back to his beginnings. Born on December 22, 1986, Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab was the youngest of 16 children. His father, Alhaji Umar Mutallab, was one of the richest men in Africa. He was a wealthy banker and businessman who had served as chairman of First Bank of Nigeria and as Nigerian Federal Commissioner for Economic Development. His mother, Aisha, was however from Yemen. Umar Farouk grew up in privilege in a wealthy neighborhood of Kaduna in northern Nigeria. His family came from Funtua in Katsina State. He attended elite schools, including Essence International School, and also studied at the Rabiatul Muttalib Institute for Arabic and Islamic Studies, which was named after his grandfather. He even attended the British School of Lomé, which is located in Togo. Teachers and classmates remembered Umar Farouk as a gifted student. He enjoyed normal teenage activities like playing PlayStation games and basketball. But something began to change during his teenage years. Those who knew him noticed that he became extremely religious and started pulling away from his age mates. The young man began to criticize his own father's banking career. He condemned the practice of charging interest on loans, which is forbidden in Islam, and even urged his father to quit his job. This was an early sign that Umar Farouk was developing extreme religious views that would eventually lead him down a dark path. In 2004, for one academic year, Umar Farouk traveled to Yemen to study at the Sana Institute for the Arabic Language. He also attended lectures at Yemen University. This was the first time he was staying for a long time in Yemen, a country that would play a crucial role in his transformation into a terrorist. In September 2005, Umar Farouk began studying at University College London, where he would obtain a degree in mechanical engineering in June 2008, but his time there revealed troubling signs of radicalization. He became president of the university's Islamic Society, which organized political discussions, martial arts training, and paintball outings. At one paintball event, a preacher reportedly told participants that dying while fighting jihad was one of the surest ways to paradise. In January 2007, Umar Farouk organized a conference called War on Terror Week, featuring speakers including former prisoners and also lectures on jihad. Unknown to him, MI5, which is Britain's domestic intelligence agency, had taken note of his connections with terrorists and communications with Islamic extremists during these years. However, no action was taken against him. At the age of 21, he asked his parents for permission to marry, but they refused, citing that he must earn a master's degree before he would be allowed to marry. After graduating in June 2008, he obtained a multiple-entry United States visa and visited Houston, Texas in August 2008. In May 2009, Umar Farouk tried to return to Britain for a life coaching program, but British authorities discovered that the school did not exist and therefore denied his visa. His name was placed on a UK security watch list, but this information was never shared with other countries. In July 2009, his father agreed to let him return to Yemen to study Arabic. Umar Farouk arrived in August, but quickly stopped attending classes. His family grew concerned when he called in August, saying he had dropped his courses but was staying in Yemen. By September, he was attending lectures at Yemen University, an institution that is suspected of being linked to terrorism. In October 2009, Umar Farouk sent his father a text message saying he no longer wanted to pursue business studies and instead wanted a 7-year course in Islamic law in Yemen. When his father threatened to cut off funding, Umar Farouk said he was already getting everything for free and refused to reveal his supporters. He later sent final messages disowning his family, and this was the last contact they ever had with him. During his time in Yemen, Umar Farouk traveled to Shabwa province to meet with Al-Qaeda members in a house used by Anwar al-Awlaki for religious sessions. He received terrorist training and was equipped with this explosive device. Al-Qaeda later released a video showing Umar Farouk training in a desert camp, firing weapons at targets, including the Star of David and the British flag. Evidence suggests Umar Farouk first met al-Awlaki in 2005 during an earlier trip to Yemen and became a devoted follower. Intelligence intercepted communications showing increased contact between them in autumn 2009. After his arrest, Umar Farouk told the FBI that al-Awlaki was one of his trainers and had provided religious justification for the bombing. Umar Farouk left Yemen on December 7, 2009, traveling through Ethiopia to Ghana, where he would catch his flights to Amsterdam and Detroit. The most disturbing aspect of this case is perhaps how multiple intelligence agencies had warning signs about him, but still failed to stop him. On November 11, 2009, British intelligence told American officials that a man named Umar Farouk had pledged support for jihad to al-Awlaki, but however did not provide his last name. 8 days later, something extraordinary happened. Umar Farouk's own father walked into the United States Embassy in Nigeria and reported his son's extreme religious views to CIA officers, warning that he might be in Yemen. The CIA added Umar Farouk's name to a database of over 550,000 suspected terrorists, but his name was never added to the no-fly list and his American visa was never cancelled. State Department officials wanted to revoke his visa, but intelligence officials asked them not to, claiming it might interfere with a larger Al-Qaeda investigation. Umar Farouk was questioned by authorities for several hours before receiving medical treatment for his injuries. On December 26, 2009, just one day after the attack, he appeared before a U.S. federal judge at the University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor, where he was still receiving treatment. 2 days after the failed bombing, Umar Farouk was released from the hospital where he had been treated for burns. He was then held at the Federal Correctional Institution in Milan, Michigan, during his court proceedings. Umar Farouk was formally charged with attempting to blow up and placing a destructive device on an American aircraft. Additional charges were added in January 2010, including attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction and attempted murder of 289 people. Both charges carried a potential death sentence. Umar Farouk initially cooperated with investigators, but then stopped talking. But after FBI agents brought 2 of his relatives from Nigeria to speak with him, he began cooperating again. In September 2010, Umar Farouk made a surprising decision. he dismissed his court-appointed lawyers and chose to defend himself. The court appointed a standby lawyer to assist him if needed. Then, on October 12, 2011, against the advice of his standby lawyer, Umar Farouk pleaded guilty to all 8 charges against him, including attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction and attempted murder of 289 people. Reports indicated that he changed his mind about his plea after hearing the prosecution's opening arguments, perhaps realizing that the evidence against him was overwhelming. He was supposed to be sentenced on January 12, 2012, but was postponed to February 16, 2012 to give him more time to review the investigation report. His lawyer filed a motion, arguing that sentencing him to life in prison would be a cruel and unusual punishment because no one except his client had suffered physical harm during the attack. The motion was rejected. On February 16, 2012, the judge sentenced Umar Farouk to 4 life terms plus 50 years in prison without the possibility of parole. He would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Umar Farouk is now serving his time at ADX Florence, a supermax federal prison in Colorado, known for housing some of America's most dangerous criminals, including the popular drug lord El Chapo. He will never be released. In a statement after the sentencing, Umar Farouk's family expressed gratitude that the unfortunate incident did not result in any injuries or deaths to other passengers. Meanwhile, Anwar al-Awlaki, the cleric who helped radicalize and train Umar Farouk, was killed by an American drone strike in Yemen on September 30, 2011. He would never face trial for his role in this attack and other terrorist plots. The 289 passengers and crew members on Northwest Airlines Flight 253 came within minutes of death on Christmas Day 2009, and the only thing that saved them was a faulty detonator and the quick actions of brave passengers. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your views in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories.